Hello, welcome to Lux Life Discovered. I'm Rick Steiner with Steiner Event Group. My co-host today is Paul Fazard with 30A Media. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks a lot. I'm happy to stand in for Shannon.
Well, she has this job thing, and so she couldn't be here. But we want to welcome our guest, Jacob Taylor from Los Angeles. Jacob, welcome.
Hey guys, Rick and Paul, thanks for having me on.
Well, we're glad to have you and appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Jacob, Paul, one of the reasons I wanted to have him, Jacob is a young man that I've known we were talking about this before we went on air, for 10 years, met in Kentucky when he was in college. And kind of just start from there, Jacob, and then we'll go from there. How's that?
Yeah. Rick and I's relationship goes back, over a decade. We connected on Facebook, and then Rick started to get me in the modeling world and became like a mentor of mine. And I fell in love with that world. Now I'm an actor in Los Angeles, and it all conspired from those days.
Well, I tell you what, you're just one of those guys that, you deal with I deal with a lot of young people, and there's some that will do well, and then some that you expect to do well. You were both. And so when you went to LA, that's a huge step, because you had one semester of college left, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And so as a parent, if my child had done that, I would be like, what are you doing? That type thing.
My parents said the same thing. But I got accepted into an acting program out here, and I studied. It's called the Meisner Technique, which is a popular technique within the acting world. And I got into a school out here to study for 2 years. So that's kind of why I dropped my bags and came out to Hollywood.
Right. Well, tell us about the Meisner Technique, because it's a prestigious program to be a part of, and it's probably pretty hard to get into, isn't it?
Yes and no. I think they're decently selective on who they let in, but they'll let in people that they see potential to do well in the industry, and they want to see someone that's going to take the craft seriously, because it's a rigorous process. It's a rigorous 2 years. So me coming from small rural Kentucky, and curiosity is what really brought me out to LA. Like, everybody I looked up to were film actors, and I loved film, and I just wanted to learn. I wanted to get my foundation set before I really tried to start going out for jobs. So the Meisner Technique was just I thought that seemed like a great fit.
Okay.
So does that cover all genres of acting, or does it have a specific kind of point to it, I guess, is what I'm looking at?
Yeah, so the Meisner Technique, the philosophy, real quick. So Sanford Meisner, he was part of like the Playhouse and all that in New York City. And there was really like 5 guys in the 30s to 50s that kind of created acting, Stella Adler, Sanford Meisner. But my acting teacher, John Ruskin, he studied under Sanford Meisner. He was his apprentice. So he knew what he was talking about when he was teaching it. But the Meisner Technique, the philosophy, it's really that acting is reacting. And a lot of it's techniques to get you out of yourself and just to focus on you guys, to focus on this conversation, to get it off yourself. That acting is so simple that it's just reacting. Once you get your lines out of your way and kind of get that in your subconscious, it gives you freedom to play and freedom to react naturally to what's going on in the present moment.
Yeah, that would be it for me. Remembering the lines is like, I don't remember what I had for breakfast, so I'd be like trying to remember lines.
You can react when you try to remember the lines. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, there's a couple tricks to the trade you learn.
Yeah.
And it's really just repetition, like anything else. You got to put in your hours,
Sure.
So when you left Kentucky and arrived in LA, is it what you thought when you first got there, or were you totally like what in the heck have I done?
Yeah, both, all of it,
Yeah.
all the above. When I first got out here, I had a couch to sleep on, and
he's offered that couch to me several times. Yeah, he's like, "Can you take the couch?" Yeah.
Exactly. But I was like, "Hey man, just give me 30 days. I'm gonna figure it out." I had a little money saved up, you know, and then I started the acting program, and then just I got kind of slapped in the face of the reality of how expensive it is out here.
Yeah.
You know, to get a 1 bedroom is just ridiculous, you know,
Yeah.
to get out on your own. And LA is so spread out that it's not all condensed. So you could be living in this part of town, you have something on this part of town, and if you're driving at the wrong time, it's going to take you an hour and a half versus 20 minutes with no traffic. So I think looking back in hindsight, I was a little culture shocked. I wouldn't have admitted it at the time, you know.
Of course not. Yeah.
But looking back, you know, and you get out to Los Angeles and you want to become an actor, there's no guidebook, right? In any other profession, you go to college, right? You get your credentials and you jump into that field. And there's no, like, you get to LA and say, hey, here's how to do it. You have to figure it out on your own. I think that's the biggest challenge, is trying to set your foundation. And yeah, there's no help wanted signs for actors, you know.
Right. Well, and that's competition is tough. So you really have to, and this is something about you too that I want people to understand. You have to have that confidence and belief in yourself, because if you don't have that, you'll get eaten alive in that industry.
Oh, you'll get eaten alive. And, you know, most people give up within the first 2 to 3 years. And honestly, I understand. I get it. Like, I understand why people give up. And I've had so many friend circles out here throughout the years. You know, I'll be friends with kind of these group of actors, and before you know it, man, everybody's back in Kansas and Missouri. You know, it's like selling insurance, you know. So I've always had that. I didn't put a timeline of when I want to achieve this. You know, I just kind of had my goal and my dream, and I was just like, all right, I'm here. I'm gonna keep climbing this mountain until I achieve.
Well, you've done well climbing the mountain. Look here at your film and TV. I mean, you've got some impressive lead roles, co-starring, guest starring, your commercials. Paul, one day I received a text or an email, and it was, I think, the first BMW commercial you did. And he was so excited about that. And I was excited because it's like, dang, there's Jacob, and it's cool, you know. So it's fun to see a commercial or promotional, you know, item, and then you know the person in it. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
That was my first big deal. It was that was my first big job. So
were you going on auditions while you were still studying, you know, at school, or no? You just waited till you were out, and then it looks good on your resume, and then you just build your resume from there. Yep.
And you know, you start a process. Then you have to get an agent. The agent opens the doors for these jobs, right? But you can't just go get some top agent who has all these connections. So I really had to build, right? I would get in one place for a year. I would sign a year contract, and then I would kind of build some credentials, and then I would kind of bounce to another company and bounce to another one. But really, auditioning in itself, it is a technique. And I mean, I bet I went on auditions for 2 years before I got one. Truly.
Wow.
I mean, I went on a bunch, you know, but I just looked at, I looked at the whole, and you're getting rejected the whole time. And that's one of the hardest things about being an actor is you're getting rejected on a day-to-day, you know? So how do you have that confidence? How can you shake that off and not take it personal and just keep the ball moving? So I looked at it as a learning. Go ahead.
How do you shake that off? It's a good point.
But it's not personal. You just can't take it personal. You know, they're looking for a certain type for that. Like, even now, you know, I mean, I audition now, and I know that, hey, they give me the role for John, right? I'm going to prepare, and I'm going to build my character of John, and I'm going to go in there and deliver it, and it's either going to match with their vision or it's not, you know, and you're on to the next. But really, those early stages of auditions, it's the hardest because you really don't know how to. You haven't had a job to learn how to even develop a character, right? So you just kind of, it's a lot of self-learning.
Do you know when you audition what size the check might be if you got the role?
Do I know?
Is there any, you know, I guess it depends on the size of the role, right? But you know, whether it's a lead actor or not, but you know, there's hopefully some promise of a check if you actually got the role. It's kind of like, you know,
for the most,
would you go for every audition because that's you know based on the paycheck?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time you see what the payday is going to be, right? And Hollywood pays well, you know, not always, but I also wasn't looking at that for the first, really not even till recently, you know.
Wanted to get that established first, yeah, so you could go, yeah.
But you can't look at this thing if you want to be an actor to make money, but you need to get into a different industry because you're just not going to make money right off the bat. You know, I like to say that you get paid on the back end, right? There's a reason these big actors are getting $10 million a picture. And they deserve it, man. They, you know, they went 7 years without getting paid.
They've been rejected and put aside, yeah. So, well, that would have to be. I don't know if my skin is thick enough for that or not. You know, it's like, it'd be tough.
If you can see the light at the end, this is advice for anybody. I think for any career, if you see the light at the end of the tunnel, then it's really not rejection. You're just learning. True. You know. But if you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, then that's when you need to know if you need to pivot into another career or something like that. But I just always believed in it. So,
well, my wife tells me no all the time, so I think I'd be okay with that.
You're used to the rejection.
You might get rejected more than I do. I
don't know. So what? I guess it may be kind of hard to say this, but like what film or role have you stands out the most in your mind that was the most challenging to do?
Great question. Well, I'll kind of backtrack. What started it all? You know, you see on my resume, I've done a lot of work for Lifetime in the past couple of years. You know, I end up leading. I've done 8 movies for them total.
Okay.
And I did. And what started it? I got a co-star on one movie. All right, and then I got another co-star in it, and then it kind of parlayed into I led 6 films in the span of like a year and like 3 months.
And you traveled all around the country doing those movies too, because you were up in the Northeast.
Boston.
One time when we talked, yeah.
I was in Boston for a month, and I did a movie up there. So to answer your question, what was the most challenging? Movies are, for the most part, they're shot out of order, right? So these Lifetime movies, it's a lot of like, right, it's a murder mystery, and there's a big revelation at the end of the movie, like who did it, right? But you could be shooting the beginning of the movie, the next day you're shooting on page 37, and the next day you're shooting the end of the movie, then you're back into the beginning. So you have to be conscious, what does the audience know, right?
That's a good point,
you don't want to give away anything. So you have to have audience awareness as you're doing those films.
Yeah, you don't want to be shooting the end of the movie and then go to like the middle or beginning and then stop production and say, we've already covered this.
Yeah, but a lot of that, I was the plot twist in a lot of those movies. I ended up being the bad guy. So like there were a couple times where I had shot like 3 days in a row where we're revealing that I'm the bad guy. And then we had to backtrack. I wasn't. And I was doing this scene, and the director's, he stopped me and he's like, look, your mannerisms are giving away. You're on page 20 here. Like you got to kind of shed that. You got to go back to the innocent guy. So I think those are a little.
Well, so those movies tend to be like a cookie cutter type thing, aren't they? If they're assuming that they're for what we would call the female romantic kind of audience.
Yeah, they are. There's a formula to those movies for sure, and I like to say they're more corporate movies. You know,
corporate movies. So being the bad guy in the movie, that's so out of who you really are. I bet you that was kind of fun to get out of your comfort zone and to challenge you to do that.
Oh, it's so much fun. I mean, I got permission to do things that I would be arrested if I did it in real life. so yeah, you get to play out of the box, and it's fun. You know, you get to have a lot of fun with it, and you get to kind of be someone that you would never be in real life. You know, you get to play pretend.
That's true. Well, good deal. So, what's in your coming up for you? What's ahead? What kind of projects?
So I'm actually producing 2 movies right now that I'll be starring in. One of them is called Sacred Sky. So actually that screenplay, it won Best Screenplay at New York Film Festival, Montreal, and Barcelona. So I got attached as an actor, and now I'm coming on as a producer, and we've kind of added a whole team together. And starting next week, we'll be starting making offers to directors, and we're shooting for Sundance next year.
Wow.
So how does that work with the production side of things versus the acting? Is that where you have to go find money to fund it with, or kind of piecemeal it and just make it anyway, just based on disposable income?
Yeah, you got to get the money in order, because you got to get a good director attached. I mean, that's at least $100,000, and you want. I'm an established actor, but I'm not this huge name selling name. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we need to attach a more well-known actor as well, right? A more box office name. So you got to have money for that. But really, my job has been like assembling the team. And it's new to me, but I've really just pulled out of my contact list and the network that I've built over the past couple of years. I'm also represented. I'm in 2 really good contracts right now with a company in New York and a company out here that are guiding me along the way. So,
well, the best way would be to go to the parties and just talk to the folks there,
It's
crash the parties, yeah.
Yeah. Do that as much as I can.
He's watched too many movies about crashing. Yeah.
People want to come out here, man. We'll go crash the party together.
Yeah, that'll be a day trip.
Yeah.
We won't tell your wife.
Just for me, I'd have to bring her, and then there's a real problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So the producing part of it, what interested in you, or what piqued your interest in that area?
Honestly, opportunities really came my way. But I love filmmaking, and I love the whole process of it. I'm kind of obsessed with this industry and kind of how it ticks and operates, and I love it. Yeah, I had a writer approach me with the script that I just told you about, and he wanted me to play the lead. And I was just like, hey man, how are you going to get this movie made? And he was like, I don't know, man, I'm just a writer. So he agreed to let me come on as a producer, and we got that contracted up. And so yeah, I'm just forming the team around it. And the next project that I have after that is it's a true story regarding the fentanyl crisis and opioids.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's a true story about a mother and son, and he was in a car wreck at 18 years old, got prescribed Oxycontin. And from that first time he got prescribed that, a decade later, it just turned into a decade-long battle with addiction and the healthcare system, and doctors deeming him away as an addict. And then it ended in his overdose in 2021.
Oh, wow.
So I can't say who it is, but I actually interviewed a writer yesterday who's one of the head writers on Yellowstone.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he's actually agreed to write the project. But we still have some interviews coming up, and I'll be playing the lead role and producing that as well.
That's a hot topic right now as well. And I think one of the more recent one on Oxy was called Dope Sick. I don't know if you've seen it, but that was pretty wild. That tells you all what's going on and how they get the drugs passed through and so on.
Yeah, it's an issue in our country. It's actually, fentanyl is the #1 killer in America right now. And, there's about 200 people a day that are dying from opioids or fentanyl, which is essentially a huge plane going down every single day.
Right.
And if that was the case, like, they would shut down the airlines, right? So
yeah.
There just needs to be more change on what's going on, and it's something I'm passionate about. And that's the power of film, right? It's like you can get messages across that people might not know about otherwise, and bring awareness to a certain topic. And that's what's been such a joy about producing. It's kind of getting in on the back end of that, and having control of that story and that narrative.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, because I'm sure you're going to have the people that are willing to participate and provide you great statistics and information, and you're going to have those that are going to try to probably put up a wall and make it difficult at the same time. So that's
Yeah, well, you gotta get a good lawyer.
Oh, there you go. That's true. Yeah. Well,
you gotta make sure you're protected.
Yeah. Well, that's 2 great projects. Goodness. So, and really diverse projects at that as well. So that
they are.
Go ahead.
I'll just touch real quick about the plot line of the first movie, Sacred Sky. It's about an artist in New York City, and it's a Latin American family in the Bronx. And the lead character, his uncle has leukemia, and he needs a bone marrow transplant to save his life. And they're trying to find a match, but that's actually more difficult in the Latino family. So he goes back to the Dominican Republic to try to find his estranged father of 25 years to see if he's a match. And it's just a beautiful story. So we're really excited to get that going. We'll be shooting in New York City, then we're going down to the Dominican for about a month and a half to shoot it. And we've already got it all lined up with studios and everything down there. So that's exciting.
What's the name of the production company now that you have?
Well, I've actually LLC'd my own production company called Taylor Film Productions. So that's behind it. And we have another guy named Chris Black. Tristan DeSanchez is the producer who came on board. He produced The Voice for 3 seasons. So he's coming on board. And then with the other project, it's a company called Bohemia Group Originals. So yeah. I hope that made sense.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
I'm proud of you, young man. You're doing great things, and it's fun to see someone you know excelling at the level that you are and taking the risk and reaping the rewards.
I appreciate it. You know, you've been such a good friend over the years, Rick. You were one of the first people that believed in me. Like truly.
Well, you made it easy. Are you kidding? Yeah. So, well, good deal.
What are your thoughts on the trends for movies that they're getting a lot longer these days, or at least, you know, I mean, I struggle to go watch something that's 4 hours long. Or, I mean, although I did watch something the other night that was 2.5, and I thought that was long, but it wasn't. It was I forget the name of it now. It was the Korean War one where the pilots go in and in the old planes. I forget the name of it though.
You know what I think? I think America, or just in general, viewers, our attention span has gotten so much shorter with watching these TV shows. You know, you go pop on a 30-minute episode, you can binge the next one, boom, 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 and it's just condensed. So to go sit down and watch a 2.5-hour movie, to most people now, that sounds like forever. You know,
that's a good point. Yeah,
I mean, if it's a good movie and it keeps moving, then okay. You know, I think if it's done well, then it doesn't feel like the 2 hours. You know, and I think you can live with it. Yeah. But I think what was it? Avatar's like 4, is it? I mean,
you just gotta have a compelling story. You really do, and there's got to be arcs in that story.
Yeah,
to keep it interesting. So
I would be a lot of Raisinets for me in that movie theater.
I'll plug in my newest movie. I just had a movie go on Amazon Prime 2 days ago called Stranger. So if you guys want to watch that, it's about a 90-minute run. Yeah, and it's a thriller / horror. It'll keep you interested the whole time.
All right, we've got your little promo there now. So yeah,
man.
So how does it?
That's on Amazon Prime right now.
So how is that changing the landscape as well? Where it seems to be where there's non-traditional outlets for where a movie ends up being seen, and how that adjusts to the size of the audience may even be larger from those different outlets.
It is. You know, the landscape of the industry in Hollywood has definitely changed. I think, my personal belief, I think there's way more opportunities than there used to be. There's a lot of opportunities for actors and filmmakers these days because you have all these different outlets that you can get them on. I think it's raised the competition level, but it's not what it used to be. Right, 15 years ago, it was really just cable TV and the movie theaters. And that was it. You know?
Yeah.
Jacob, hold that just a minute. Sorry about that. You're trying not to cough, and then the more you try not to, the worse it is. So we'll edit that part out. I'm sorry.
Well, so do you also have to find distribution for the movie as well if you're not doing it yourself? I mean, a friend of ours is an independent filmmaker, and for her to get revenues in on her movie, she actually has a lot of them overseas, like Japan and even into China, where they're getting checks from there for the movie, which I thought was amazing. It's like that's really cool to see that happening.
Yeah, actually, the majority of films that go into a theater release, 9 out of 10 times, they're going to make more money internationally than domestically.
Mm-hmm. Really interesting.
Yeah.
So, will you promote a lot of what you produce internationally then as well?
Will we promote it over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll promote it over there. The goal with really the first project, Sacred Sky, is we're looking at a director right now who just won Cannes Film Festival last year. So we're looking to attach him. And what Cannes Film Festival, Sundance Film Festival, South by Southwest, New York, all that is, it's pretty much a huge market. And you have Apple TV, you have Netflix, you have Amazon Prime, you have Paramount. They're all looking to buy, right? And especially the ones that win the awards. Um, so we're trying to make a run at it and go up there and sell it, and then you just get a bigger distribution deal that can go international or domestically or whatever that looks like.
Yeah, so the award shows do make a difference.
They do, they do. Those film festivals,
Yeah,
there's a reason for it.
yeah, for sure.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, when we first met over a decade ago, if you had
Yep.
told me we'd be sitting here, I knew you would be successful, but
Yeah.
but what you're doing, man, is just so impressive. So
Oh man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I never, I guess you never know where your life's going to go, at 19 years old,
yeah.
you know? But yeah, I was just kept an open mind, and I think anything's achievable. You just got to you got to make it happen.
Well, as your income grows from your movies, I expect a royalty.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
just that unspoken agreement.
Hey,
No,
if I win at Sundance, you'll be the first person I think. So.
You gotta get in line here.
Right.
You gotta get in line.
That's true. Hey, I was there at the beginning.
Of
Yeah.
course,
No.
yeah.
Rick's number one, man. Rick's number one. Yeah.
Well,
No.
listen, just one thing, like if you like what you're listening to or watching and you have questions for Jacob, feel free to comment this will be on YouTube, and it's of course in podcasting outlets as well, like Spotify and so on. So, drop us a line, drop us a comment, let us know what you think. If you need some advice or whatever it is, I'm sure that Jacob would be glad to help, in between doing all his projects.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Jacob W. Taylor.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Shoot me a
Good.
DM.
So what is yet? I mean, what would you like to accomplish, say, in 5 years? What would be one of your highlights that you'd like to achieve?
Definitely getting these 2 movies made that I kind of have on my plate right now. Yeah, to get those accomplished would be it'd just be a huge accomplishment. And then outside of that, like I mentioned, I'm fortunate enough to just have two really good contracts right now in representation.
Right.
And I'm starting to go out for a lot of those bigger deals with Netflix and HBO. So I would love to lead a series within the next year or two. I'd love to get on one of those hot shows and just make a run for it.
That'd be great. Yeah.
That'd be great. That'd be great. There's so much good content out there right now, and I'm finally in a place where I can, those doors are starting to open. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, one thing we find, we're in the streaming TV business. We develop channels and so on for people, and one of the things that I see on a regular basis is actually the sort of ability for independent filmmakers to be in their own kind of streaming network. And I think there's a big opening for that. That there's a space in the market to where somebody could actually start an independent film streaming TV network, and and talk to folks like yourself with your independent video movies, and build a channel, pull other people's videos in and films in, and build an audience for it. I think there's a big outlet there.
There's a big outlet there, and just how the industry's changed so much. You can take so much more. You have control over so much more than I think you used to in Hollywood. Like you said, you can build your own channel. You can shoot a movie on your iPhone.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can really take control and create opportunities for yourself, which I think is important.
For sure, absolutely.
There may be opportunities for you guys with your media company to.
Well, you never know.
Something, yeah.
You never
know. Who knows?
Not
that he may be before he gets too big for us.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Before I won't answer your golf ball. No,
What's
kidding.
that?
Yeah, right.
You're like, who are they? No, yeah. So.
But how long have you guys been doing this podcast?
Oh, it started a little over a year ago. Just one thing I wanted to showcase a lot of talent here along the Gulf Coast in Florida that I have met over the last 2 years. And then we joined 38 TV with our own channel on their network
Okay.
a few months ago, 6
Yeah.
months ago, maybe.
Yeah, we're developing
Yeah.
Roku and Amazon channels and so on just for this podcast. And so that kind of puts it out into a larger audience and, makes it, the more eyeballs that can see it, you never know who's watching, It's not a matter about having 100,000 followers. You just need one if it's Oprah.
Yeah, you do. Very well said. Where are you guys based out of now? Are you in Kentucky?
No, we're in Santa Rosa, Florida.
Is that where you live permanently now?
No, I'm still in Kentucky. I'm here a week a month. So yeah, we travel and do some work here, and then we do the podcast here. And then once we join 38 TV, then we've done a lot remotely, a lot of interviews, which has been so much fun. And then we've got 2 other remote, podcasts we'll be doing later today. And it's just fun to connect with people like you that mean something to me, that are doing well, and a good example for other people. So
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I think it's incredible what you're doing, man.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, come visit us at the beach sometime. It's one of the better ones.
I need to.
So, a little jab there. Yeah. So, well, Jacob, thank you so much for being on today. Always good to see you, man. I look forward to being out in California soon, and we'll definitely get together there and visit some more.
I love that, man. Thank you so much for reaching out and for having me on the platform. And Paul, it was great to meet you.
You bet.
And I'll talk to you soon, Rick.
Okay.
I'll keep you up with everything.
All right, sounds great. Well, be sure to look for Jason's 2 projects that will be coming out soon, and then as well as the movies that he's been in. There'll all be a link in our post. So thank you for joining us today. That's another episode of Lux Life Discovered.
Check out Lux Life Discovered on Facebook and Instagram and on 30a.tv. See you next time on Lux Life Discovered.